Good. How are you guys?
Good.
We leave tomorrow. Any questions?
Sean, is Payton Turner done for the season, or could he come back?
No, he could come back. Good question. So it's 3 weeks, 3 games really.
How do you feel about separation statistics? I mean, are they real or?
Well, the first question I always ask is, who's tracking? Who's the person? You know, are we saying it's PFF? Then I don't have a strong feeling, because there's an assumption that that there's some PFF stats that I think are valuable, and there's others that are invaluable.
But as judging receivers, is it something you look at all? That
Sure. Yeah.
Getting open, but how can some players have
Two
low
ways to separate. Two ways to separate. Either through speed, running fast, or stopping fast. And then the last element would be within the formation. You know, tight bunches, clusters. A lot of times that can open up separation. But run fast can help guys separate. Stop fast. You know, guys that can transition. If they don't run fast, but they can stop fast, then that can be a tremendous asset. And then formation variation. But I wouldn't look a lot at that number if it was PFF.
Okay.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that you're off the competition committee now. Is that like a set term?
Yeah, I think it was, and it was the right time. Without getting, I'll leave it at that, without getting fined.
Sean, just out of curiosity, when a player goes on the COVID list like Crawley did, does that alter the timeline for when he can be activated off IR after he's been designated a return?
Yeah, and look, there's a protocol, and then they become eligible. Obviously, they have to go through the COVID testing protocol, but you know, he's someone that can be brought up.
So, but the 21-day window, once you designate him for return, that doesn't get impacted by a positive COVID test?
Any positive COVID test, you're not playing.
Right.
Am I answering your question then?
Does it
Not
pause the timeline though? Like the
Like
21-day window?
Yeah. I understand what you're saying. I don't think it pauses the timeline.
Okay.
Sean,
You don't get the COVID and then the 21.
Right.
Yeah. Now, if you knew ahead of time, you know, it makes complete sense then.
Right.
If it started, you know.
does it affect anything, like when you see for them A.J. Brown, Julio Jones, a bunch of guys don't practice on Friday? Does that change anything that you guys
Look,
at?
here's what we do, just so you know. We get the injury report. I have it right here. They get ours. And we study it. Obviously, we see the film, and then we get a past history of their injury reports like they would ours, and we see that it's pretty common, for instance, that a few of their guys won't practice on Wednesday, maybe Wednesday, Thursday, and then they're 100% playtime still. And so we look a lot at the history. Michael will give me a long thing, you know, whenever this player has missed 2 days, he's never, you know, or it's pretty standard. And so you get used to looking maybe at a pattern. So that's how we look at this. And look, there's always that game time where you're still wanting to validate.
Any extraneous circumstances with this game this week as far as field
So
conditions?
I would say this: mid-50s, 10-mile-an-hour winds, should be pretty good weather, and it's a field that there's a lot of footing issues. So this is one of those weeks. We had the meeting this morning on the footing, relative to there's tons of clips of guys slipping. You know, even the gotta have it 4th and 1, quarterback sneak. You know that.
How does that work with your cleat selection going up there? I mean, do you all take them all with you?
Yeah, we have them all, but we're going to be into more screw-ins than molded. The molded are more comfortable, but the molded, they've resodded a portion of the field. But this is a grass field alert, and based on the film, there's a ton of guys slipping with molded shoes on, a ton. So.
Do you show the team the video of the guys slipping?
Yeah, no, we have a whole footing. We go through it, and it's not optional. Like, we're not asking them, hey, can you please, like, this is what you're wearing.
Do you ever make a mental note of, like,
Saints fans in the stands on a road game? It just seems like this might be a travel game for them this year.
I felt like we've been traveling well. I think we've been traveling well. The only thing I thought about when you said this was, I can't recall the last time we were there, whether it was that or twice. We had the infamous whistle monster, or whistle that blew.
Oh, that was there.
That the place kind of stopped, but it didn't. Someone heard a whistle, and then that was my theory on, our whistle monster was at the game. And yeah, you can tell when you have a contingent, and obviously Nashville would be a good trip. I think we've traveled pretty well in a lot of games. Washington was exceptional.
Will Trevor be starting again, the quarterback?
Yeah, that's the plan, and we've got a number of packages that we'll use.
And I know we get an injury report soon.
You'll get that soon.
Tell us if anyone's being ruled out.
Soon.
Is your confidence in Brian Johnson? It looks like you had him at the 50 last year. Do you see more confidence in him?
Yeah. Listen, I think he's been outstanding, honestly. I love what I'm seeing in practice, and there's a calmness to him. Yeah, absolutely.
Has Mark Ingram been kind of what you expected, bringing
Doing
that
well.
back? Yeah,
he's doing well. He's doing well. It's a little bit harder when you bring someone in to play, maybe who's not been playing, but he's been training camp, games. He's just, you know what I mean. Football. Sometimes you're bringing someone in that maybe hadn't played, but he's played a lot of football, and he's smart, so he's doing well.
And he was talking about how his routine got totally disrupted by the thing where he's
By what?
practicing. Well, just by the trade where he's practicing, and he's on a plane, and he's trying to find a place to live and everything like that, and he's finally starting to kind of feel settled back into that.
Yeah.
You can see that when he's just kind of interacting.
Yeah, you got to move, and your family. Yep.
Marshawn got his cast off on Monday. He said yesterday that he felt like he left a lot of plays out there with the cast on, but the sky's the limit for him now. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, he would know. I mean, obviously, if you're at a position where he's at, but I know he was excited to have it taken off, and so, and also at the line of scrimmage, that's undervalued when you're putting your hands on receivers. Confidence in being able to strike.
Sean, you spoke earlier this week about how detrimental it is for the Titans to lose a guy like Derrick Henry, depending on Kamara's status. How important is it now that you guys have Mark Ingram in the building and that he can step up and take the load? Yeah,
well, first in regards to Derrick, listen, the season he's been having has been unbelievable. We followed their tape on a few games, and it's just impressive to watch. Same way, this league goes, and it goes, and you guys have seen it already with a number of different players, and we'll see relative to Alvin, but I think it is important to your question. I think it's very important that there's someone, like Latavius a few years ago. I mean, that's, someone's got to carry the load.
Have you been impressed with what you've seen so far with Mark?
Absolutely.
Since you got here?
Yeah, I have. Thank you.
What happened with Alvin? Was it just, did he play through it last week?
Yeah, it was just it's a knee injury that, he's rehabbing, seeing if, quickly as he can get back. But towards the latter part of the game, there was soreness, and there's a play or two that you see that you could tell.
Not really Alvin specific, but if a player does have a knee injury and you're playing on a field where you're saying a lot of people slip, does that play into
No, I don't think so. The field would never factor in as to whether a guy would go or not. Obviously, it would be, I think, more challenging on a artificial surface where you have better traction, and when you have more traction, then you have more stress. We're 28% more injury data on an artificial field than a grass field. That's just over 5 years, 8 years, and so the grass is always safer.
So I guess if they're healthy enough to play, they're healthy enough to play.
Yeah, it would never be a field. It would never be a field. It would never be a field decision. All right. Thank you. No stats. Thank you.
Thanks, Sean.